Hey guys, welcome to Wrestling Days and welcome to this opinions video where we're going to discuss anything and everything you want to talk about following this week's Raw. So let's get straight into it. We've got over 30 comments. It's a nice amount of comments actually. It's not as many as last time, but it's a bit more comfortable. So hopefully this video isn't going to take an hour like the last one. King Kota Movement Billy says, I'm going to keep it straightforward. We want Dakota. King Kota Movement. So Dakota Kai obviously on her way back. She had her brace off the other day, and then it turned out it was because she just forgot to put it on. But she did also reveal that she is close to a return. So King Kota, you'll be pleased to know Dakota is on the way. Edward Brown said, Days, hope you are well. I've got a few thoughts. Cody versus Seth is where we're going. Rock Roman also. I think The Rock will have the upper hand. Then Jacob Fatu will help Roman and Solo turns and helps The Rock. Also, Cody will finish the story, but not at Mania, at SummerSlam. Or win Money in the Bank and maybe cash it in on Raw show, but tells Roman I'm cashing this in for a title match at the next pay-per-view. So Roman is 100% fit and match ready, or he just whips Roman's ass. Yeah, I mean, look, I wouldn't expect him to win Money in the Bank, to be honest. And if he did, I'm pleased that you said he would give him advance notice, because I really don't think that they would have him win Money in the Bank and then cash it in and that be how Roman's title reign ended, just because it's been so historic. That would be, for me, a very unsatisfying way to end such a historic reign. Really, there's lots of stories that are going on at the moment, and one of them is who is going to be able to beat Roman, who's going to work that puzzle out. We've seen so many people try, because to beat Roman, you've got to beat the bloodline as well. And a lot of people have stepped up to Roman and come close to beating Roman. And who knows, Drew McIntyre may have beaten Roman. Sami Zayn may have beaten Roman. But neither of them and others could work out how to deal with the outside interference. I feel like that's a puzzle. I feel like that's a Rubik's Cube that someone has got to work out. And I really want to see someone work it out. This is why I wouldn't want a cash-in, because that feels like it's cheap. It feels like we're not solving what the problem has been. You know, I would really like to see someone go one-on-one with Roman and then have a plan for Solo, for Paul Heyman, for Jimmy Uso, for anything else that could interfere. So that's what I'd be hoping for. So, yeah, I think you're right, though. It does feel like we're heading towards Cody, Seth, and Rock Roman. And word doing the rounds on X is that Rock Roman is locked. That's what people are saying, it's locked. It's funny because you've got people saying it's a work and all of this, but we can get into that. But to be honest, the reports still stay the same, that it's locked and that it's not going to change. And they're going to find a way of putting Cody into that Seth match. You know, this is why the attack by Drew at the end of Raw makes me nervous, because is that a way that they're going to kind of get his attention shifted over? Are they going to try and force him to go in that direction? Because as much as he would like to finish the story, he's not going to be attacked and not respond. So is it going to be a case he's just going to be slowly drifting over to Seth and Drew now? We'll have to wait and see. Thursday, the press conference. Has there ever been a bigger press conference in WWE history? No. Dylan said, Days, apart from Becky, who else do you think will be in the Elimination Chamber to determine who fights Rhea? Great question. And honestly, I had to just kind of scan these questions just to see if there was anything I needed to prep. And this was one, because in my head, I was like, oh, actually, I don't know. I have got up the superstar list. So we can see here, these are all the superstars that are on Raw. Triple H, I don't know why he's there. I think they just needed a brand to put him on. But you can see all these names. There is the one that has to be on this card. Indy Hartwell, who I believe is from Australia, has to be on this card. So I don't know if she'll feature in a different match with Candice. They might put her in like a pre-show tag match or something like that. But honestly, I'd put her in the chamber. I mean, I think we know that Becky's going to win this chamber, and she's already qualified. Liv goes next week, so she will qualify. I've no doubt about that. So, yeah, I think we're looking at, like, Ivy Nile as well. And I think we're looking at the likes of maybe Chelsea Green. I mean, Chelsea Green is not a tag champ. So I feel like she brings something different, which is a bit of humor. Like, she can bump all over the place for people. And, you know, there's a spot on the card for her. And maybe a spot in this match as well. But Indy Hartwell is definitely the one that I would look at. Candice is a potential, of course, and the name that's like just always there, always Mrs. Reliable, Natalya. Obviously, Nia can't because she is in the Rhea Ripley match at Elimination Chamber. Piper is obviously an option. We could always go that way, as is Nikki. So there's a few, to be honest. There's a few, but what I would say is I feel like Indy Hartwell is an absolute must. And Ivy Nile, I think because of her strength and how different she is, I kind of feel like she would be a good addition. Like, you know, we should be building stars. And then, you know, if you get a bit nervous about, like, the fact there's so many green stars in there, you can throw in a Natalya just to steady the ship. So, and another name as well, Xia Li. You know, I think Xia Li is someone that deserves an opportunity. You know, we've got to do something with these women. You might look at a Xia Li and Indy Hartwell. Maybe it's not the most exciting names in the world, but that's only because we've not done anything with them. We've got to get going with these women, you know. We've got to find stuff for them to do, and this could be a good showcase for them, just as the Women's Royal Rumble was a good showcase for them, a good opportunity for them to show what they're about. So there's a few names for you. Mitchell, shout out to you. Mitchell said, if they end up doing Cody versus Seth, what do they do with the men's Elimination Chamber match? Maybe a shot at Gunther or Logan. Yeah, I mean, I don't think they've announced it yet, have they? So there is a thought that there might be a chamber match to try and figure out who faces Seth. So if they end up doing Cody versus Seth, then it could be that they do a chamber match to see if someone else gets added to that match. I don't like that idea because I don't think that's very fair to Cody. Cody gets to choose what champion he wants. If he's not going to choose Roman and he's going to select Seth instead, then it's not very fair to insert Drew. But there was a thought that did the rounds of, like, how can we get Drew to kind of get involved, and could he win a chamber match to get himself involved? So I did see that as a theory. It wasn't a theory that I liked. I'm much more into the idea of it being for Logan or Gunther. So it's not been confirmed, but, you know, there have been... This is why it's so frustrating, this whole Cody situation, because word on the street was that the chamber match was going to be to decide who would face Seth. So again, we've read that it was Cody versus Roman. That was the plan. That's why Cody wins the Rumble and points at Roman. That's why backstage at Raw, CM Punk says to Cody, go finish your story, bro. And also there were reports that the Elimination Chamber was going to decide who would face Seth. It was a quite clean, straightforward road to WrestleMania, and then The Rock has just kind of been inserted and like messed everything up, basically. So now things have changed. I don't know what that chamber is going to change to, or if it's going to be a case that they keep it the same and Drew wins it and then finds himself being inserted as a third person. That'll go down, though, not very well. I mean, like, Cody gets to win the Rumble and then finds himself being in a triple threat in a match that not many people want to see him in anyway, for a title that people aren't bothered about him winning. I mean, Honestly, this there's people saying it's a work, it's a shoot, let it play out. I mean, one thing that we can't deny is that this is a mess, man. I don't know what they're going to do on Thursday, but I hope they're magicians, because they're going to need to pull some serious rabbits out of their hats to fix all of this. So, yeah. So, Mitchell, good question, buds. Brady said, I wonder who the competitors of the Women's Elimination Chamber are. I think we just boxed that one off, Brady. I hope you're well. It'd be good if there was a return, wouldn't it? I mean, imagine if there was a mystery. I didn't even think about that until I saw Brady, because Brady is a big supporter of Alexa Bliss. And it would be good. And they have done it before. And actually, was it not Alexa, like, that was the last person to be announced and kind of came down just, I think, wasn't it like a few days before that she confirmed she was going to be in it? So you could have like a mystery, who's it going to be? Obviously, Carmella is, due back. Alexa is due back. Like, there's people that we can still bring back, those two in particular. So maybe there's an opportunity to have a little surprise in there as well. EO's Court said they were handing out the We Want Cody signs. They knew we would do this. I've got a feeling that there's a swerve coming. Okay. So here's my thoughts on this situation. I think something has gone wrong, right? I think there's been a miscommunication. Everything seems to point that we were going one way, as we've just discussed, and now we seem to be going a different way. And I think that they did want, I've got no doubt about this, they did want Cody to be a bigger star. I don't think there is any malice to Cody. I don't think they want him buried. I don't think that The Rock is trying to push Cody to the side and, treat him badly or anything like this, right? I think they want him to be a bigger star, and I think they have loved the We Want Cody thing, right? I think that has been brilliantly received. I don't think they can claim that they expected everything that happened, though. I don't think they can claim they expected death threats for Ava and for things to have gone as far as what they did. And word on the street is they did not expect Rocky sucks chants. They didn't expect those. So I think they thought that by Cody stepping to the side and doing the right thing, right? Doing the right thing and allowing this year to be the year we get Rock Roman, that would make Cody a bigger star, right? And it's worked, but not in the way they thought, because we don't see Cody as a bigger star for doing that. We see Cody as someone that's being mistreated. You've mistreated him. You've made him step aside, and that ain't fair. And that's also put heat onto The Rock, which they didn't anticipate. They didn't expect The Rock to be turned heel, right? They didn't expect that. So I think there's quite a bit that's going on here. I don't think that this is planned in the way that people think this is planned. Dave Meltzer said this is a work. It's 100% a work. And I actually listened to the audio as to where that came from, because I thought, well, I mean, listen, if he's got a source that has told him it's 100% a work, well, that's interesting, isn't it? I need to know that news. So I listened to the audio, and it's nothing but his opinion. He watched Raw. He heard them talk about the hashtag on commentary. He saw loads of the same signs in the crowd, and he came to the conclusion it's a work, and he convinced it's a work. But it's just his opinion, right? But he's got such a big platform that, of course, everyone picks up on that, and so it goes around, it's a work. Dave Meltzer says it's a work. And so that goes absolutely everywhere. But at no point did he say he spoke to someone and they told him it was a work. It was just a throwaway comment that he made of like, yeah, I mean, look, he even was laughing about how all the signs were the same in the crowds. And he said like, oh, what? So someone just made all these signs exactly the same. And he's like, of course, this is WWE handing these out to people. It has since been proven I don't know that every sign was fan-made. There may have been some that were WWE, but there is shots of someone at home with a stack of printed signs that they had ready to kind of hand out to the fans. And there was a girl as well that has written out like "We Want Cody" signs in like red and blue pen. And she did that to hand out to the crowds. So actually a good chunk of them have been proven to be fan-made. And that was one of his points. One of his points was, oh, well, look at all these signs. They all look the same. That's WWE handing them out. And there's big question marks now around how true that actually is. But I think the fact that they did show the signs and the fact that they were talking about this on commentary, I think they have seen the reaction. I think they are leaning into the reaction, because why wouldn't you? Cody trended like #1 all weekend, right? I mean, it's just amazing response. WWE are looking at that as a gift. So I don't think that it's like this master plan that has gone perfectly for them. I think something's happened that they're now looking to use. But word on the street is we're still going to be ending up with Rock versus Roman and Cody versus Seth. And I really think, you know, if those plans change, I think there is a good chance it's because of the noise that's been made. And there was a little bit of hope for Cody fans that came out of Raw because nothing was announced. And it's clear that they heard the noise. So there was a little bit of hope, but it's the hope that kills you. And I still have not seen anything to suggest that Cody is getting his hands on Roman at WrestleMania. Doris fan said, do you reckon we see Cody Roman still have The Rock involved as a special guest ref and cost Roman the title? And then on night 2, we get Rock Roman. That would seem a win-win for both sets of fans. I don't. I would love to be wrong, but I don't. I mean, apparently contractually, The Rock signed in early January, and it is locked in that he is facing Roman. He is competing, and he is facing Roman, and it is contractually obligated. Like, it's happening. So, I don't know. There's... I love all the fantasy booking. I love, like, well, sure, you know, you could do this, you could do that. I do think, though, there is a bit of a problem of it getting in the way of what is actually rumored, right? And I think this is where the Cody movement suffers, because instead of the Cody fans being upset at what is actually rumored at the moment, they do kind of go off and think, well, we could do this and we could do that. But the problem is that that's not being reported. And we could, but it's like the Madison Square Garden thing. It's like some Cody fans are like, oh, it would be cool if he finished it in Madison. Yeah, but no one's saying that's happening. That's not been reported anywhere. Like, it would be great if he finished it on Mars, the first wrestler to win a match on Mars. That would be cool, but it's not being reported anywhere. So I think there's just a bit of wishful thinking. I think there's like hope, and my concern is that whilst we're putting energy into those kinds of things, we're not putting energy into making it clear we're not happy right now, right? I think the We Want Cody stuff at the weekend was great. I thought the crowd were a little quiet, but it was good to hear the fan cam stuff. You know, the camera phone footage. That was louder than I expected. Because it didn't come across that loud on TV, and they didn't hijack the rest of the show, which was good, but there was definitely bits where there was nothing happening in the ring where, say, the commentators were just doing a piece to camera that I think we could have had some loud chants. That crowd, and I suppose it might be a reflection of just where we are now, is not the kind of crowd we would have got for Daniel Bryan 10 years ago. It would have been more vocal. It would have been more disruptive, and I don't know. It was good. It gave us a bit of what we needed, but it didn't feel like it gave us enough. And the kind of We Want Cody thing, it's still around. It's not kind of making the same noise that it was, and so I don't know. The feeling I've got to think is that the resistance, the storm has been weathered, and they're just going to plow forward now with Rock versus Roman and Cody versus Seth, and it's just very disappointing. Very disappointing. Wrestling XFR said, I think they should do Rock Roman on night 1, Cody Roman on night 2, and if they don't go with that, then the best option is to have Cody finish the story at SummerSlam, or maybe at next year's Mania. Also, I think having Roman retain and be champion till SummerSlam wouldn't be a terrible option, because we need to enjoy the rest of the reign, because we will miss the reign when it's over. WrestleMania 40 should be when Cody beats Roman. It's the best option, and most fans want that, including me. What do you think? I think this is where it should have ended. I think I've no problem with Roman's reign continuing, and I've no problem with Rock versus Roman. Why would you? Because it's a dream match that we've all wanted for a long time. But the second they had Cody win the Rumble and point at Roman, it was done. That was it. You can't change course. You've locked yourself in. And the Royal Rumble is so important. It's like arguably the biggest piece on the road to WrestleMania. Like, Elimination Chamber would be another, but arguably the Royal Rumble is the biggest piece. They always say this is the start of the road to WrestleMania. Well, you had Cody Rhodes win it, and he pointed and made it very clear, Roman Reigns, there's that clip, you, Roman, you, I'm coming for you. That was on the Saturday, and then by the Friday, he's stepping to the side for The Rock. So people can see what's going on. People can see the, like, you know, the injustice. And for me, like, yeah, Rock Roman's fine. Yeah, Roman carrying on his title reign would be fine, but people can see that they're screwing over Cody Rhodes. He's being screwed over. He's being screwed over because The Rock has signed a contract, which means he is legally obligated now, contractually obligated, to have that match with Roman at this year's WrestleMania. So it's, I mean, I just think that The Rock has got the timing completely wrong. He's signed a contract and gone, right, I'll do it this year. And apparently this contract was signed in January. I mean, you would think that WrestleMania plans would be locked before then. I know they tend to work in like 3-month like groups, but you would think that WrestleMania, they'd have a vague idea. And I think they did. And no one can explain. No one seems to know how Rock can sign a contract in early January that he's going to face Roman, and then come the Rumble later that month, Cody wins and points at Roman. No one seems to be able to explain as to where that miscommunication has come from and what's actually happened there. So maybe we get answers at the press conference. I mean, we're going to have to get answers at the press conference, but it is a mess. It is a mess. So the 2-night thing is absolutely the right way forwards, but Cody has also said, I'm not going to face you at WrestleMania to Roman, so something would have to change there. And again, it's fantasy booking. I feel like this is where a lot of energy has gone for the Cody fans, trying to find a solution to the problem. But again, there's nothing to indicate that's the direction we're going. Even Brian Alvarez says doing the 2-night thing would be good, but he's got no confidence Roman Reigns will agree to do 2 main events back to back. You know, we can't even get a match a month out of Roman Reigns. So getting him to do 2 a weekend is you can see the size of the ask. And not just normal matches, not just house show matches, 2 back-to-back WrestleMania main events. It would be a big ask. No one's done it. But I've said on the live streams that would be a great thing to put in to the negotiation. She'd give him extra money. Of course you would. He's wrestling 2 matches. But drop in the fact no one's done it. You would be the first. It would be fantastic for your legacy. We would shout about you being the first WWE superstar to ever main event WrestleMania twice in a weekend. I mean, that is you know, to main event WrestleMania once is the pinnacle of, like, you know, that's what CM Punk wants to do. That's the pinnacle of, like, many people's careers, like, or one of the pinnacles, I should say. Main event in WrestleMania. Obviously, winning a world title is another. But, like, for Roman to do it twice in a weekend, you could use that as part of the negotiating kind of tactics. Point out, like, what it would mean to his legacy. Luke said, during the Rock and Roman face-off, The Rock never once looked at the title. His eyes were on Roman. I believe it's Rock and Cody different nights. Rock not for the title. Or The Rock is special guest. They've just brought the match type back on 2K24. Yeah, I can only go off Cody's comment, which was not at WrestleMania. So that comment doesn't fit if that's the plan. If the plan is that we are going to do the 2-night thing, then why did Cody say, I'm going to take that title from you? Just not at WrestleMania. I mean, could it be a swerve? Sure. It would be a strange swerve, because what has he gained from it? All he's done is upset the fans. What has he gained by saying not at WrestleMania when he actually meant, I will see you at WrestleMania? If he grabs the microphone at any point and says, I will see you, Roman, at WrestleMania, I hope he explains why he said not at WrestleMania on SmackDown. Because that was a big statement, and that was a big moment, and that is a big reason why. Could they do a triple threat? Could they do Rock Roman night 1, Cody Roman night 2? That's a big reason why my head immediately goes, well, no, because he said not at WrestleMania. Mr. Harry Uso LFC said, I think people are overreacting. I think Cody Roman will happen and Rock will be special guest referee in Cody's corner. But if The Rock does face Roman, I think Jay will be in The Rock's corner. I think people are really overreacting. The match hasn't been confirmed. Well, all I can say is that, again, Cody said not at WrestleMania, so that would mean that Cody Roman isn't happening. And people want that match, so you can understand why people are upset. If The Rock does face Roman, I think we get Jay. Okay. But what about the Cody fans? The Cody fans that are so desperate to have Cody face Roman, you can see why they're upset. People are overreacting. The match hasn't been confirmed. Yeah. But again, Cody says not at WrestleMania. So it sort of has been confirmed. If he's not facing Roman at WrestleMania, then his only other option is to face Seth. Now, granted, on Raw, he didn't get to the point where he actually said anything, but then I turned to the dirt sheets, and they're all telling me that Rock Roman is contractually locked in. It's a done deal. There's no budging. Like, Rock is loving what he is seeing with the We Want Cody stuff. As I said, Rock isn't looking to bury Cody, right? He's not looking to do that. It's just that the optics make it look like he has. And this is why they're not expecting the Rocky sucks chance. So there is overreacting, death threats, and, you know, all that toxicity. I mean, there's no place for that. But I am a big advocate in Cody supporters making their voices heard. Because honestly, if you let it play out, as people know I hate, right? Normally I would say fine if it's just a story that maybe we're not that invested in, you know. But because this is one of the biggest stories WWE have got going at the moment, you know, with Cody trying to finish this story for the past 2 years, and that's just since he came back. If you want to add in the rest of his career when he was Stardust and Dashing Cody Rhodes, Legacy, all of that stuff that many of us watched, you know, this story, you could say, has been going since he was 8 years old. And I feel like they've got to the point where they've done enough now of making him wait. Because I see Cody as the face of the company, multiple-time champion. So I'm all for making this first title reign difficult. But, you know, if you're going to have him win the Rumble and point at Roman, at that point, the match is locked for me. At that point, we're going. Here we go. We know where we're going. I don't think any of us stopped watching the Rumble and thought to ourselves, oh, I wonder where this is going. I think we all watched it and went, right, okay, so they're doing Cody Roman, okay? Wasn't expecting it to be announced here. I thought they'd have CM Punk win the Rumble. That was my pick. And so I wasn't expecting Cody. So as soon as that happened, right, and add in the fact that he's pointing at Roman, screaming his head off, you go, okay, message received. And then he steps aside and we never get a reason why. Never get a reason why on SmackDown. And they still never explained it on Raw. So you can totally understand. I don't think it's an overreaction from the Cody fans that have just had that ripped away from them, you know? The story will be finished. I don't think anyone doubts that. But the problem is, how are we going to deal with the injustice? When is this going to be explained? I really hope it's at the press conference. I think a lot of people are waiting for that answer of, why did you step aside? And how did we not even get that on Friday? And how did we not get that on Raw? Like, can they explain it? Do they have an answer? Or are they just hoping that The Rock is such a big star that we'll just accept it? We'll find out Thursday. We will find out on Thursday. Casual LA Night Enjoyer. So Mr. Harry Uso LFC. Shout out to you. Casual LA Night Enjoyer said, I think that Cody not making his decision on Raw is good. We all tuned in to see what he says. He didn't decide who he's facing, so it keeps the hype of the Cody movement somewhat alive. I also like how the show ended with Drew finally being booked somewhat good. Face Coaster said, I think WWE did this completely backwards. Rock versus Roman should have been last year. Cody dethroning Roman should have been this year. But I think that's what they tried to do. I mean, word on the street is they tried to do Rock Roman last year and The Rock wasn't available. But come January, he decides he is. And then all of a sudden, the plans now have to change. But again, no one seems to have an answer of how did he sign a contract in January and Cody win the Rumble like weeks later, and then all of a sudden we've got this mess. Like, there seems to have been a pretty major miscommunication there, and I would love for that to not be the case and for all of this to make sense and it all to come out at the press conference. If that happens, I'll be the first to cheer and whoop and holler, right? Because I would love for this to make sense. But at the moment, it's, you know, we're getting 2 + 2 = 79. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. I cannot piece this together. And apparently there are people backstage that work in creative that can't piece this together either, that can't explain this either. So it is kind of heavily indicating there's been some miscommunication. But again, Thursday press conference, we'll wait and see. Anna Dawes, shout out to you, said the fans kicking off over this is stupid. Everyone needs to remember the whole of Dusty's story. This is by design. Becky's win was after she was passed over time and time again. This is the same. It can be answered with 2 words: hard times. Well, I've got to disagree, only because, as we keep saying, we talk about how this doesn't add up and it doesn't add up to other people. So I think trying to explain this as, oh, they're just doing it and putting another obstacle in his way, I don't really believe that. I think that it's a case that the plan was that Cody was winning the Rumble, which he did, and was going for Roman. And I think The Rock's come along and just bumped him to the side. And I think there's been an injustice. I think there's been a robbery. I think there's been a miscommunication. And I think that you can say, okay, well, it's an obstacle. He's going to have to deal with this. And you could treat it as an obstacle, but it doesn't change the fact that it doesn't make The Rock look good. The fact that he's just come along and bumped Cody to the side. It also doesn't look good because it's an obstacle that Cody has put in his own way. You know, Cody has won the Rumble. He can choose Roman, and he's choosing to not choose Roman. He's choosing to not finish his own story right now. He said he'll do it, just not right now. So what was winning the Royal Rumble all about then? Why did he win the Rumble? He won the Rumble to finish the story. But he's not going to finish the story now. So you can see the holes in this thing, right? And if you want to just explain it by going, well, it's hard times. Hard times. I don't think that fits for me. I don't think it fits for me just because, as I said, there's too much here that just seems off. Miscommunication, and I see Cody is already going through hard times. It's been 2 years since he came back. They had him lose last year. And you can going forward come up with explanations and reasons and paper over the cracks. But I don't think it hides the fact that this was not meant to go down the way that it's gone down. I'd love to be wrong. I would love for it to be a case that at the press conference, it turns out that this was the plan. But nothing's pointing to that at the moment. If that does turn out to be the case, then no dirt sheet, no, right? It's going to be another of them CM Punk situations, because I would love to bring you some information that says, no, look, this is the plan, but no one's saying that this was the plan or that this is a great story that they've, crafted. This is completely off the rails. I think that's the only way to say it. It's off the rails. Play It TV said it is kind of unlikely, but what if they make Cody Rock at Elimination Chamber, winner faces Roman? Well, I don't think they will. The only thing I would say to that is I don't think they will. If they did, I don't think it's a good look for The Rock, because Cody wins the Rumble. He is not sure of what to do. He calls up The Rock. The Rock says, listen, no, don't do it. Don't do it. I'm going to face him instead. Let me bring him down a peg or two for you, right? Cody goes, okay. Rock comes in, right? Takes Cody's spot. And now Cody decides he wants to face Roman. Wouldn't the honorable thing for The Rock be to go, do you know what? You're my friend. You won the Rumble. Have your spot back. Wouldn't that be the honorable thing for The Rock to do? Like, why would The Rock want to stand in Cody's way? Because that's what he would be doing. That's the story that we would be telling, is that The Rock would stand in Cody's way. The Rock hasn't earned this. I think it's fine if the champion is without a challenger for someone like The Rock to come in and face it. If Roman didn't have a challenger for Saudi Arabia, and we hadn't done a number one contenders match or anything, and then The Rock arrived, got in his face, and boom, it's Rock Roman. No issue with that. No problem with that. The Rock has done enough in his career to earn that. But that's not what's happening here, because Cody won the Rumble. So Cody should have the right to choose who he wants to. And technically, he still hasn't chosen. He has said to Roman, not at WrestleMania. He's made it quite clear that's not the direction he's looking to go. But yeah, for me, I don't know why The Rock would be a douche and not just step aside. So you could do that match. It would be a big match. I don't know if The Rock would be wanting to do that match, to be honest, because I think Rock matches are obviously attractions. They're very special. If they do want an Elimination Chamber, does it take a little something away from WrestleMania? And plans apparently are to have Rock there, but do a Grayson Waller show type segment, talk show segment. So he will be there, but word on the street at the moment is that he won't be wrestling at Elimination Chamber. So could they do it? Plans can change. Of course they can change. But storyline-wise, I would find myself scratching my head of like, why don't you just step aside for your friend, right? This ain't your dance. Like, Cody was if you really wanted to be in this situation, why didn't The Rock enter the Rumble? Why did The Rock not win the Rumble? That would be my question. Right. I am DJ Spaz Out said, I'm keeping it simple. Do you remember the Thunderdome and how they had a director to tell the virtual crowd when to cheer and be active? That's what it felt like. Scripted, not genuine. Let's keep pounding away. We want Cody. Yeah, I mean, they did tell them to, cheer and everything. Part of that, though, I think part of it was because they were having to kind of give thumbs up and everything because there was no audio, was there? So they could sit there and cheer, but you couldn't hear them. So they had to, it was a real mess. So they had to they had to give them instructions to, like, you know, give thumbs up and, like, put their hands up and, like, be a bit more, use their body language a little bit more. Cheer and make it seem like they're really into it. Yeah. It was a dark time. It was not a good time for WWE. Kian said, R-Truth is a national treasure. He right now is probably one of the best things on Raw. The work is done with Judgment Day, making them not break. I find it weird how Rhea is never present. Azza said Randy should beat Seth for the World Heavyweight Championship. They go back and forth with the title in a hot feud. Randy could beat the record also. Would there be any issues with that? Randy could beat the record. I don't know what you mean by beating the record. The only record for that belt is Seth's reign. Obviously, you've got the world title records. I certainly wouldn't have Randy doing that. I don't think Randy needs that kind of long title reign. And actually, I think what that belt needs is it needs to go on to a few people, because there's a few people that need the belt. There's a lot of people like Sammy, like Shinsuke, like Drew, Gunther. There's a lot of people that need to get their hands on that title at some point. So Randy having like a lengthy reign, I don't think would kind of work. Doesn't work for me, brother. I like long reigns. I really am a fan. But the only problem with long reigns is you really do deprive a lot of people an opportunity to have a run with the ball. And that's fine. But because, you know, I mean, we're in a situation now where we've got so many options, so many deserving people. It's a good place to be. But I feel like there needs to be a little period now where we kind of tick a few boxes. Gunther's got to become a world champion. And he may get the belt that Roman or Cody has. But if Gunther gets that belt, well, then what do we do with CM Punk? And when does Sammy get a title? And will Drew ever get a title in front of fans? And will Sheamus ever get back up there? And will Shinsuke ever be a champ? There's a lot of people. So we've just had this really long historic run from Roman, which has had upside and downside. I think there needs to be a little period now where we just tick a couple of boxes. And then, yeah, we could probably engage in another run. And maybe that person could be Randy, but not right now. Not right now. That's what I would say. Roman should take Bruno's record because no wrestler will ever be close to this, said Mr. Unfamiliar. The formula is stale at the moment, but there would be time to change things up in the next 3+ years. Well, I mean, that's a thought. You know, they've invested a lot into Roman and, you know, they've got him to this point. So do you just keep your head down and go another 3+ years? For me personally, no. I just think that Bruno record is something very special. I think that to just plow forward for the sake of beating that record is not something that I would be interested in doing. Just because I think you're really hurting a lot of superstars to do that. You know, just as Bruno probably hurt a lot of superstars in the 60s that may have benefited by having a run with that title. There's a lot of people that need to get their hands on titles. And I know the comeback will be, well, the World Heavyweight Championship, they can get that. But it's like, not everyone can get their hands on that. You know, we're talking about Randy, we're talking about Shinsuke, we're talking about Gunther, we're talking about Sammy, we're talking about Drew. This roster is so much bigger than what Bruno had in the 60s. You know, we're in a very, very different place than where we were in the 60s, of course. And so this roster, it needs access to world titles to the point where, you know, they were forced to create a new one because Roman had the others on lockdown. So, yeah, it's I can see the point. Let's put it that way. I can see the argument. We've invested so much in Roman. Do we really want to do all this again? But my counter would be, well, I'm not bothered about Roman beating Bruno's records. Those records don't mean anything to me. I'm not bothered by them. I think if you're solely focused on them, then I could understand why that would be a motivator. But to me, I'm not bothered. Roman's had one of the longest reigning title runs ever already. And I think it's gone stale. I think it's achieved everything that it's going to achieve. You're going to have to really try and reignite the creative. And that means that Cody won't finish his story for another 3 years because he needs that belt. He needs the belt that Roman has got. So, that you're putting that off as well. So, I think Roman's had enough. I think Roman's been given enough. And I think there's plenty of other superstars that deserve theirs now. So that's where I am with it. But it's a fair point because there has been a lot invested, and it could be a case that we do. It could be a case that we do go with trying to plow forward with that. But I don't feel like that was the plan. I don't feel like when Cody won the Rumble, he was going to go to WrestleMania 40 and lose. So, yeah, I don't know. Not for me, but clearly for Roman fans. Jeff said, do you think triple threat, Roman possibly working both nights? WWE definitely weren't expecting this kind of reaction. Now they have to backtrack quick, but with The Rock's possible contract clause with TKO, very sticky situation they've got themselves into. I don't know how they fix it. I really don't know. I mean, I think that Roman seems like a lock. That's what everyone's saying. I think that they're going to have to find an explanation. I don't know that they're going to find it. And I just don't know. I really don't know how they get themselves out of this. I mean, both nights would make sense, but nothing is being reported that that's what's going down. Another theory is that they might have booked Madison Square Garden, right? This Madison Square Garden thing. They might have booked Madison Square Garden, and Cody can actually use his Royal Rumble win to challenge the champion at Madison Square Garden. Cody could say, look, I'm stepping aside because I'm going to face the champion instead at Madison Square Garden. I've cleared it with Triple H. That's where my dad had his hands on the title. That is where the story should be finished. And I can announce that this year's SummerSlam will be at Madison Square Garden, and I am in the main event, and I will face the champion. If that was the solution, I think everyone would be happy with that, because he doesn't have to finish the story at WrestleMania. Finishing the story at MSG makes a lot more sense historically, and SummerSlam's a massive show, and I don't think the venue's been announced, and so that makes sense. So I think everyone would accept that. The only problem is there's no rumors that's going to happen. There's no reports or anything indicate. That is, again, fan fantasy. It's nothing but fan fantasy. So there are potential ways of fixing this. The 2-night thing, some people say the triple threat thing, that MSG thing. There's ways of fixing it. We'll have to see if they've got one of those ways lined up on Thursday. But at the moment, it looks like he's facing Seth. That's what word on the street is. But that press conference, as we keep banging on about, is going to be huge. Reese said, feels like a wheel-turning episode. Had a horrible feeling there will be a Mania triple threat. Cody, Drew, and Seth. I'll pass, thanks. T. Hayes said, maybe The Rock confronts Cody in some sort of work about, I didn't pick you because you're not able. Cody fires back and challenges Rock at Elimination Chamber for the right to get first blood on Roman. Cody wins and faces Roman at Mania. Rock faces Roman at SummerSlam. Swerve saying not at Mania. Don't get the Swerve not at Mania thing. I don't get that. I don't. If you do a swerve, you do it to throw the other person off, and I don't know what would be achieved by him saying not at Mania to then actually face him at Mania, because it's not like Roman got an easier opponent in The Rock, you know. So, if Roman has to face Cody, that's a hard match. If he's got to face The Rock, it's a hard match. So now if it goes back to being Cody, it's a hard match. I don't know what the swerve is, right? I don't know what the swerve is. In regards to the Elimination Chamber thing, we've spoke about that. Why would The Rock not just step aside if he's a babyface? If he's a face and he can see the support that Cody's got, why would he not just be a friend and go, listen, you won the Rumble. It's your dance, and not just step aside. So I don't know. Storyline wise, I see a few holes. Nick WWECR said, what do you think about last night's Raw? Do you think Cody will face Roman? Because I'm starting to think that. I don't think he'll face Roman. I think they've got to have a good explanation at this press conference. Why? There's got to be an explanation, right? We want Cody to face Roman. That message has been sent loud and clear. The only problem is nothing is indicating that anyone is budging. No one is budging. Everything is saying it is Rock Roman. It is contractual. It is done. It is locked. It is on lockdown, mates. So if we're not getting the match, they're going to have to explain why. So it's tough, man. It's really, really tough. There is hope because, as has already been said, nothing has been announced. There is hope. But listen, whatever happens, the way this has played out, the fans have been absolutely right to make their voices heard. And WWE have loved it as well. So WWE have loved it. They've loved the coverage. It's been a big dub for them. So WWE are happy. The fans are either going to, get the match they want if Cody does find a way into there, or they've made their voices heard. So no one's lost. No one's lost. Everyone's reacted as you would imagine as this process has played out. But Thursday we're going to have to see what they say. They've got to throw the Cody fans some sort of bone. Right? There's got to be something. They can't just go, right, here we are. It's going to be Cody versus Seth versus Drew, or Cody versus Seth, and it's going to be Rock versus Roman. I can't see them just doing that and just barreling forwards. Maybe they will. Maybe they will. I really hope not. Cody sent a tweet out and he said, trust me. Trust me. But the problem is I don't, because he's too easily pushed around. He's too easily told what to do. He doesn't have a backbone. He doesn't stand up for himself. And I think here he's just been pushed to the side because, oh, look, what's that in the distance? It's a bigger superstar coming to take your spot away, like CM Punk said, and had done to him, going all the way back to, 2013? When he got pushed to the side for The Rock, for the same person. So, the more things change, the more they stay the same. Right, so I've a feeling it's a double swerve, my friend. A brilliant way to keep the build for Mania interesting and unpredictable. Punk's not injured. Cody gets Roman. Story ends, and it leads to Cody versus Punk and Seth at SummerSlam in a unification, maybe. Well, do you know, if that goes down, you will have called it, but you will have absolutely called it. There's obviously nothing to indicate that. If the Punk injury has been faked, and all of a sudden he reveals that he's not injured and he can go after Seth, that would be one hell of a swerve. I mean, it would be absolutely incredible. It would be incredible. And it would also explain why he told Cody backstage, go finish your story. Basically saying, go and finish your story because I don't want you going after Seth because this actually isn't real. It would be amazing. That would be amazing. Jason said, what all the wrestling stories are saying is that Rock doesn't care about the fans. He's here for the money. But the We Want Cody posters last night were handed out by a random person in the crowd, not WWE. People are spreading lies. Nathan said, I think they have only one option. Rock Roman night 1, Cody Roman night 2, plus we get Seth versus Drew or Sammy, which would make it one of the best WrestleManias of all time. Marv said someone young and new should be the one to dethrone Roman. Someone like Theory or Braun. Cody is also a solid choice, but I think whoever beats Roman will be rocketed to main event status. Cody is already a main event star, so he doesn't really need it. I disagree with that because he's also someone that you're saying that if they beat them, someone can be a main event star. I will counter that by saying that if Cody beats Roman, he can become a bigger star. It's all well and good to be in the mix for the main event. It's a different thing to be working your way towards being the face of the company. And what we're seeing, certainly with the We Want Cody stuff, is we're seeing a Daniel Bryan-esque rally, a Daniel Bryan-esque movement. And I think that it might result in Cody being like the face of the company. So the fact that Cody is in main events and he's still not won a world title is fantastic. But you've got to throw him a bone. You've got to give him that world title. You couldn't have... I mean, imagine if they had Braun beat Roman. So that would mean that Braun's a champion, but Cody's still never been a champion, never been a world champion. Braun's a champion, but Gunther's never been a world champion, or Sammy's never been a world champion, or Damian's never been a world champion, or Finn's only had it for 24 hours. I mean, there's so many deserving people that I absolutely get the argument of we should give it to a young talent. I do understand that argument, but I would say that's more what Seth's belt's for. Like, you could have, if you really wanted to, like, shoot Braun to the moon, have him get Seth's belt. I feel like Roman's belt is the belt you put on the face of the company, because it's been on the face of the company for the past, 3 years plus. So I kind of feel like that belt has to be for a Cody. I wouldn't be giving Roman's belt to a Braun or a Theory. It's too big. There's another world championship they can have first, and that would be Seth's. So I love the logic, because I am a fan in building up young talent. I really am. But I still think we've got someone in Cody who's never been a world champion. It's not as if he's like already a 3, 4, 5-time champ. He's never won a world title. I really feel like it has to be Cody. Jill said, does everyone still want Roman Cody if Cody's not winning? If WWE doesn't want Roman to beat Hogan's, or want him to beat Hogan's records, then Cody can't win at Mania. I know this doesn't still explain the Rumble. I would personally. I would, because I know it would be a downer, right? WrestleMania 40 ending that way. But to be perfectly honest, Roman's going to be in the main event of WrestleMania 40. We're going to build up a challenger. It's WrestleMania 40. It's going to be a big challenger, and it looks like The Rock. And if they want him to beat Hogan's record, there is no way you're going to avoid WrestleMania 40 ending in disappointment, right? You're not going to avoid it, because if they want Roman to beat that record, Roman has to win, and he's going to be in the main event. And it's going to mean a disappointing ending. So there's no way of avoiding WrestleMania 40 being flat, right? So then we have to ask the question, well, okay, if it's going to be flat, who should face him at WrestleMania 40? And because of the story and the path we're on, it should be Cody, in my opinion, because he won the Rumble. So now, of course, he finishes the story. And I think this argument of, well, if he's going to lose again, would you really want it? I have seen that mentioned a few times, and my answer is yes. Because if there's one thing John Cena taught us, it's never give up. And I just don't know what message that sends to the young Cody fans of like, oh, I would face Roman, but I just don't think I'm going to win. Well, you've been working towards finishing the story, and now all of a sudden this self-doubt has snuck in, and you're not gonna go for it. What message? What message is that? I would much rather that he goes for it and fails and has to pick himself up again than just step to the side like he did and just let The Rock in. I mean, I can't even understand the logic, to be honest, as to why he stepped to the side, because it's still not been explained. So would I want Cody to face Roman and lose again rather than not face him at all? Yes, I would definitely take that. because I just think the message and what that character represents shouldn't be about running away. It should be about stepping up and facing, you know, and trying to take your shot, taking your opportunity. I just don't get the mentality of like, nah, he can sit this out because he's probably not going to win. Because the character doesn't know that, does he? The character doesn't know that they've got plans for Roman to beat Hogan's records. And, oh, God, these records do my head in because, as I keep saying to people, tell me the top 10. Tell me the top 5. Like, tell me, like, the record holders. If this thing matters, right? If it matters, then tell me who's got the records. We know Bruno's top, but, like, what's the top 5 look like? And how long did they hold them for? This is something which is an achievement, definitely, right? It's definitely an achievement, but it's not an achievement that we are focused on or talk about on a regular basis. Like, it's just a milestone. You will always have them. They will always be there because as soon as you beat Hogan's, you're on the road to the next one, aren't you? And as soon as you beat that, you're on the road to Bruno's. So what? Once you beat Hogan's, then you can't take the title off him because he's got to get to the next records. And then when he's beaten that, you can't take the title off him because he's got to get to the next record. When does that stop? When do you draw the line and say, no, this is enough now? Because do you remember last year we had this where people were like, no, he's got to get to 1,000 days. He's got to get to 1,000 days. And then he got to 1,000 days. And now all of a sudden it's like, no, he's got to get to Hogan's records. Okay, well, he'll get to Hogan's record. And then he'll be like, no, he's got to get to the next records. But Backlund record or whatever, right? Where do you draw the line? Where do you draw the line and say, okay, that's it now? Or do we just keep going? And he just goes on to beat Bruno's records, which is not, as I said earlier, the direction that I would go. So, to answer your question, yes, I still would have Cody in the mix. Matthew said, leak rules for WrestleMania 40 head of the table match between Rock and Roman. A table will be placed in the ring with one chair at the head. Cody's music will play, and when it stops, the first person to sit at the head of the table wins all the belts in WWE. Hashtag WWE creative. Love it. Matthew, shout out to you. Wrestle Darcy said, Cody versus Roman 2 was the WrestleMania main event and the only one I could compare to Austin versus Rock 2 at WrestleMania 17. The Royal Rumble win, the star power, the build-up story, the hype. Austin, Cody absolutely needing a dub. Most of all, the complete unknown of who was going to win, and now it's gone. I like your profile picture, by the way, Wrestle Darcy. Shout out to you. The Architect said, if Cody won last year, I wouldn't mind Rock Roman this year. Yeah, that's true. Could have done that. But again, as Anna said earlier, like, you know, hard times. And we immediately put it down to that. Look, they're putting an obstacle in his way. Maybe it'll be SummerSlam. Maybe it'll be next year. Well, here we are next year. And, you know, now something else has got in his way. As we said, though, this one feels different. This feels dirty. This doesn't feel like scripted, nicely creative, mapped out. You know, there's massive holes in this thing. And backstage reports are obviously what they are. And so it just doesn't feel good, does it, to be honest? Doesn't feel good. So, yeah, if he had have won last year, we could have done Rock Roman this year. Or even if Cody had won at WrestleMania this year, we could have done Rock Roman in Saudi, could have done it at SummerSlam. Lots of places we can do. All these shows need big matches. Can't tell me that any of these premium live events we want to feel small or irrelevant. Surely we want everything to feel like it's must watch. So, you know, channeling everything into WrestleMania isn't always the right way forward. Eddie said, what if at the press conference Roman Reigns versus The Rock is announced for next year's Mania? Cody versus Roman at Mania 40 with The Rock as a special guest ref to prevent other interference from the bloodline. Also builds long-term one-year program for Rock Roman. Well, I mean, it would be brilliant, but I would have that question of why did he say not at WrestleMania? So that would need explaining. It could be explained, but everything at the moment is pointing towards it being Rock Roman. Even the last image on the video package for WrestleMania is the face-to-face between Rock and Roman. That is the last image that you see. It's the face-to-face between Rock and Roman. So, I don't know. I don't know if, like, these days going up to the press conference, I don't know if, like, these are important or not. Like, if the fans are going bananas that they really want Cody, could we convince The Rock to step aside? I mean, I just don't know. I just don't know. Cody putting his message out saying, trust me. I'm just worried that that's designed to just lower the temperature a little bit. They still want the support, but it might just lower the temperature a little bit. And then it might just result in us just getting the matches we fear that we're going to be getting. Savard said the Rock against Roman has been on a wish list for years. Cody doesn't need Roman to finish the story. He only needs the title. Once the Rock comes out and say how fractured the bloodline has become under Roman and he is there to take it to the next level, that would be awesome. Doesn't explain the Rumble. You know, I wouldn't disagree with you if the Rock had, like, if CM Punk had won the Rumble and then the Rock had done what he'd done, I would be like, well, where does this leave Cody? I'd be like, oh, that's a bit of a shame because what's Cody going to do, right? But at least, like, I wouldn't be as down on the Rock Roman match as what I am. But the fact that Cody won the Rumble means, and pointed at Roman, means that he was going to finish the story. And now we've just shoved the Rock in there, right? That's why people are upset. There was a tweet I saw, I can't remember who it was from. I think it was WWE Gareth who said, it's not the Rock Roman match that's the problem. It's how we got to the match that's the problem. And they didn't explain why Cody stepped to the side on Friday. They didn't explain it on Monday. And now we're just sitting hoping that there's going to be an explanation on Thursday. And there needs to be. Surely there's going to be. But you're not wrong. He doesn't need to beat Roman. He just needs that title, but, like, it still feels like they've got some history, and it feels like Cody is the right one to beat Roman as well. So it feels like him against Roman, because of being cheated last year in the main event of WrestleMania, it feels like the story is there for him to beat Roman. He doesn't have to. He just needs the title to finish the story. But you can see that Cody is wanting his revenge as well. He said to Roman, is finishing the story taking that title from you, or is it taking everything from you? So Cody seems to suggest that there's, you know, he's out for revenge. But and maybe this is where The Rock plays into that revenge. But again, we've still not had the explanation. And winning the Rumble, what would that mean? That he just goes after Seth's nothing belt? A person that he's already beaten 3 times. Another problem is he's not stepping away from Roman to do something more exciting. He's stepping away from Roman to do something no one cares about. No one cares about him and Seth. He's already beat him 3 times. And I think they were trying to kind of go down the road of, yeah, but Seth needs Cody. Yeah, but we don't care. Right? We don't care. We want Cody to finish the story. So it's a big mess. It's a big mess, and it's very unfortunate that the Rock Roman matches are part of that mess. Ashton said, for me, Drew is still being treated big, is great, and I can see it turning into a triple threat for Seth's belts. I think either Seth retains at Mania or Drew wins and Priest will cash in. This keeps Cody with no belt for SummerSlam. We want Cody. Imagine that. Imagine. Not only does Cody not get to face Roman, he goes up against Seth and he loses as well. Can you can you imagine? Can you imagine that he loses in the main event of night 1? I mean, is that what we're looking at? Is that come on? We can all see. We can surely. You can't tell me that the Cody fans are overreacting when we've got these kind of theories on the table. What if Cody doesn't face Roman? He faces Seth and loses. And you go, well, do you know what? Maybe you will. Maybe you will. Oh, this whole thing. What a mess. Spectre Edge said, can you use this? This is why Cody gets the genuine love, passion, support, and respect. We Want Cody is better than Wrestlemania. Matt said, I think they were smart to not have Cody make a decision on Raw. Hopefully we get Cody Roman at the Chamber. Roman's not expected to work at the Chamber. Or night one at WrestleMania, which I think is going to happen now. And Spectre Edge said, agreed, his story is the real story. I think that's why people relate to him. They found a way to connect to him, like how he's turned his way around and paved the path. That's why everyone wants him to succeed. What I'm going to finish on is the fact, because that is the end, and a big thank you to everyone that's put stuff in, right? If I've agreed with your comments, disagreed with your comments, it doesn't matter, right? It really doesn't matter. We're here to talk about wrestling. I've spoken to everyone the same way I would speak to you if we were down a bar, in a pub, chucking this stuff around, right? We're dialed in on the stories, dialed in on the wrestling. Yeah, we're having to use dirt sheets, and they could be proven to be wrong. Yes, there could be swerves in there, right? I hope there are. I would love nothing more for, on Thursday, this to all make sense. I would love for nothing more. But, I don't think it's unfair to say that as I'm sat here right now, there's enough noise and enough stuff being reported for me to feel rightfully concerned, right? So that's where I am right now. I'm rightfully concerned. But Thursday, it's all about Thursday, and we'll see. So obviously the Cody situation dominating conversation. I think going forward we should have a lovely mix of different conversations in these. So I think it was good keeping them to one comment. I still need to find a way of being quicker because this was way too long. But I want to make sure I get to everybody's. So a big thank you for all the feedback. I hope that's answered as much as possible. And don't forget, we are live for Raw, for NXT, for SmackDown, for premium live events, and more. And obviously unseen videos daily at the moment. I don't know if they'll stay daily, but they're certainly daily at the moment. And we will bring you another one of these opinion videos following this week's SmackDown. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.